Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the All Elite Cast here on the 5 Star Network. I am your host, Scott Edwards, and with me is my wonderful co-host, 6 Star, and we are reviewing what I think, in my opinion, is the greatest Dynamite of all time. I don't think we could have picked a better week to start this show, 6.
I 100% agree, and I would like to say again, welcome everyone to the debut episode of the All Elite Cast here in the 5 Star Forum. They say it's almost as illustrious as the Kia Forum, but I mean that's just what the timeline's been saying here and there. But yeah, what a great episode of Dynamite! One of the best, if not the best episode of all time. I personally think one of the best episodes of wrestling TV I've seen in a long time. It was just absolutely terrific, and I'm ready to get into it whenever you are.
Oh man, I mean, what a show, right? It was a show with a lot of excitement going into it. You had multiple matches that had the expectations of, yeah, this could be something special, to the expectations of this could be the greatest Dynamite of all time. And when you have those types of expectations, right, it gets scary, it gets terrifying. Um, and I think for me, I always thought, well, you have 3 matches that are no doubt in my mind going to deliver, right? Like that is what we have here. You have Hangman versus Moxley. You have uh, Danielson versus Takeshita, and then you have the Elite versus Death Triangle in the big ladder match, in match 7, game 7, whatever you prefer to call it. So my confidence level is high. The only scare of the night, and I think you might agree with me on this, is that the fear of a certain somebody not showing up could ruin the show. Did it ruin the show for you?
It didn't ruin the show for me. And I'll get into it a little bit more when we talk about that match. But it was a little hard for me to focus on the women's
Mhm.
match at times, just because
Yeah,
I was like, is she gonna show up? Is something gonna happen? But
sure.
I still felt really good going into the episode, and I felt really elated going out of it. I felt great going out of it. So
And I think that's important, right? It's that with this episode and with what AEW is that I don't I almost never need the unsaid that always happen, right? To live up to what AEW could do every single week, right? Because I think that's the thing I've noticed with AEW is that like some people walk around with the pay-per-view, right? And say, or pay-per-views and say, well, if there's not a surprise, will it live up to what everyone has high hopes for, right? Like with everyone goes to that all out pay-per-view, right? When Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole showed up back to back, and it's like, this is the greatest pay-per-view ever. And to me, great shows can be defined by matches and moments, not necessarily surprise moments, but matches and moments every single time. And that's what this show had. It had matches. Oh, it had matches, and it had moments up and down the card. Um, and we have a good crew here. Thank you for joining us for our first episode. This is a brand new network after all. There could have been 4 people on here, and I would have appreciated one person. So I thank everyone, and I'll go through the chat here before we get into it. But 6 Star, once the show ended, did you think this was the best Dynamite of all time?
it's hard for me to think of any that I would classify as better,
Yeah.
which is what's leaning for me to say it is. I mean, it had almost everything I want out of an episode of Dynamite. Again,
Mhm.
without getting too far into it, as I'm sure you're going to all learn as the weeks go by, and for those who already know who I am, you will know that I am a huge fan of the Elite. And well, it was a very good night for those who love the Elite, all from opener to closer and and stuff in between. I can't say I'm complaining, and even then, and I know we'll go into it, the idea of, Adam Cole, baby, returning. I'll be much more happy when we actually get to talk about it later, is something really great. It makes you really happy, especially because there's been so many reports that he wasn't going to, and that enough for me is going to make it just a special episode. But even not thinking about that, the layout of the episode as it was, there were some pacing issues. There was, some controversial things that happened, were said,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe some controversial things that maybe didn't happen. But
Mm.
regardless, I'm at least putting it up there for me as a top
Yeah.
tier Dynamite episode. And again, moments after the episode, with the high of the Elite victory, again, big dubs for the Elite community today. I will say that it is probably I think it's probably the best episode of Dynamite ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that sentiment,
And
100%.
I'll say, and to the people commenting, trust me, we will go through every single comment. Don't you worry. But I will say that I almost have forgotten some of the moments that I wasn't excited for in the before the show happened, because it didn't matter to me. It's like I'm here for these 3 matches. I'm here for that big potential surprise, and we did get a surprise, right? We got a good surprise, but
Great surprise.
I think overall it was just such a fun show. And we could talk about the show all night long, right? But let's talk about it. Let's get started here with the show itself. AEW Dynamite from the Kia Forum in Los Angeles, January 11th. Starting off with Jon Moxley versus Hangman Page. They make their entrances to the ring, and boy, oh boy, did they go out there. They not only delivered, but they had a war, right? They had an absolute war between one another, and it was truly, truly, truly fantastic. I even said that if Omega and Danielson didn't start off Dynamite once upon a time, this would have been easily for me the best match to ever kick off a Dynamite.
Oh, that's that's really that's quite high praise, and I can't particularly say I can't disagree with you on that. The match was amazing. It was, I mean, extremely hard hitting like the entire time. Ooh, a comment here. You want to read that?
Yeah, so Andy Silva, Mox, Hangman, Bryan Takeshita in the main event were just outstanding. Pay-per-view worthy matches. Hard to find a better trio of matches on weekly TV. That is the truth. That is the truth. I couldn't agree more. And I think we might have lost 6-star, which would be tough. But I'll keep going here. So I think with those matches, as Andy said, right, it's that was the drawing for me. It wasn't the idea of Mercedes Moné showing up. It wasn't the idea that maybe other surprise will happen. Like, it was these 3 matches that's the selling point. I'll let 6-star jump in here now to talk about the opening match once he's ready. I see that he's having technical difficulties over there, which it's fine. First show, it's okay. It's okay. We got you. We got you. It's all good.
My phone stand just fell apart, and also my Wi-Fi is not doing its best job. But that's not going to stop me from talking about the show, and it's not going to stop me from being excited to talk about the show. And more importantly, that comment, yes, 100%. Those 3 matches were, all of them for me, I don't know if I can use the term like dream match when 2 of them have already taken place, right? But I've been wanting that Mox Hangman rematch since the first match happened. It's a shame that, I mean, that first match that they had was really starting to click, really starting to get to the paces, really starting to turn itself into what I thought would have been like an instant classic up until the unfortunate injury to Adam Page. And I think that they delivered. They fired on all cylinders here tonight. I mean, we saw Mox no sell oh, why am I now blanking on the name? Now that I have to actually say it on
We saw
air.
Hangman get out of the pile driver instantly.
Oh yeah,
which was insane.
yeah. Kick out at 1 from Hangman on the pile driver. There was the Deadeye from Hangman that
Yeah.
Mox no sold, which is great. That's my kind of wrestling. That's what I like to see in my programming. Like, I don't know about anyone else, but that's just what I like to see. Um, they did the spot where Hangman hits him with the lariat early in and he kicks out. Great shit. That's exactly what I wanted to see. And even better, what I honestly didn't think was going to happen was Hangman got the win. Like he did the thing.
Clean.
Like he clean center of the ring. 1, 2, 3 with one. Quote me, un buckshot lariat. I love Hangman and Page. I think he's great. One of the best, if not the best, babyface of AEW and easily one of the best of all time. But I agreed to an extent with Mox is like, no more of this sad cowboy shit. We already went through that arc. That was the entire arc leading to Full Gear, and even part of his arc in his championship reign, which to some, not to me, hindered it a bit, was that lack of confidence in himself. Again, me and the average enjoyer of elite lore understands that it's just long-term storytelling, baby. I got patience. But this is the Hangman that people wanted to see coming out of his championship reign. This is the Hangman that I want to see moving forward. The kick-ass executioner who goes in and deals with business. One buckshot, we're done. 1, 2, 3, clean in the ring. But also, Mox bled.
Natural.
Natural. Yeah, I'd say is that they
the hard way.
hard way cut open, which is great off of those headbutts is what my assumption is, which is I always love seeing violence. I always love seeing Mox bleed, and to see Mox bleed hard way makes me real excited. That angle after the match, I think, is building up to a Revolution match. Texas Death Match, most likely another, I think, Hangman win, which I think is great. What a great way to put put steam back onto the Hangman train, because I, quite frankly, am always happy to be aboard it.
Yeah, you touched on a lot of what I loved about that match, and I think what I did love about that match is how hard hitting it was, how brutal it was, and when you focus in between, right? If you watch picture in picture like I do, and you just you pay attention to that, they just kept going, right? Sometimes in those picture in pictures, you could see them slow down, do rest holds, do headlocks. They didn't do that, and that's kind of what all the matches did tonight inside that picture in picture. For me, I mean, the best moment was the Hangman getting up and hitting Moxley with the headbutt, with the back of his head, because it was so unexpected for me, right? Like, they're both sitting there and Moxley's like just leans over them, bam, he's whacked just like that. And it was everything I think we wanted that world title match to be, right? They didn't have the world
Absolutely.
title on the line this time around, but it didn't need it, because you're watching the two best world champions from last year go head to head and destroy each other. And I know that's not a indirect shot at CM Punk and MJF. That is not what that is. But these two were the champions for the longest amount of time, and they rose up when they needed to for this company. And I'm excited to see what's next, right? Because we know this isn't it. This was just the next chapter. Now we're through 2 chapters. Moxley has the first win, Hangman has the second. Obviously, the first win came a bit different, and as we saw after the match, Moxley was selling injuries. He was selling that he might have been I don't know, concussed, which is a bold story to play to, but it's one that I'm intrigued by, because Hangman told him he was going to go out there and beat his ass, and that's what he did. Just an excellent opener, and like I said, a notch below the Omega Danielson match to start off the original Grand Slam show, but an excellent show nonetheless. But let's move forward here. And I said to myself, 6-star, I said, how can it get better? And Tony Schiavone's out there, and right, he gets on the mic, he says, it doesn't make me happy to introduce this person. And I thought it was MJF, because I knew he had to talk on the show. And I was like, all right, whatever. Well, I'm happy we're getting out of the way. And then the music hits, the crowd loses their mind, 6-star loses. Like, I heard you lose your mind from all the way here in Massachusetts. I heard everyone lose their mind. And I know some people are down on him, but Adam Cole, baby, is back.
Adam Cole, baby.
And not only
Anyway. To anyone down on Adam Cole, no, here's what I'm saying. To anyone down on Adam Cole, fucking cry, fucking cope, fucking seed. I don't care. It is Adam Cole, baby season, baby. I don't care if he's gonna be a threat to that locker room. I don't care if he's going to be the nastiest person in that ring. I don't care. That arena is his. The AEW is his. This professional wrestling is Adam Cole, baby. We would not have shows in the Kia Forum if Adam Cole didn't come back today, ever. No, Adam Cole is it. He is the guy. He is the man. He is the fucking greatest. I love Adam Cole so much. And if you don't, quite frankly, you can lick every single square inch of my brown ass, because I am glad that the greatest is back. That Adam Cole, baby, boom, chugs is back. It could not get better. Oh my God. Also, the greatest theme song in AEW is back. So, like, what are we talking about? And if you disagree, again, but also, you hear that pop in the arena? Deafening. So, speaks for itself. That man's gonna move tickets. That man's gonna move my heart to the right place. I missed him, and I'm glad he's back.
I was not ready for the rant of a lifetime regarding the return of Adam Cole, but we got it here. Just a phenomenal ovation, a deserved ovation. And you know what's interesting with this? And you never want to see an injury, ever. You never want to see an injury, especially one as bad as the one he had. But remembering where he was, right? Remembering where he was before this and how people were very down on him and people were angry he was in that IWGP world title match, and remembering all that. This dude comes back in and he's a rock star instantly. He's a superstar instantly, much like he was that first night he walked into AEW. It feels like he had a chance to re-debut in a lot of ways, and that's a good thing. And his promo was excellent, telling the world what he went through. And I'm sure everything he said was true. And then the good news, bad news thing, it was perfect, right?
Absolutely perfect.
As James said here, Adam Cole just appearing unannounced, pretty awesome. The good and bad news fake out was fun. I totally agree. It absolutely
100%.
was. We have Adam Cole and Kota Ibushi Elite Lore on the way. I think that's exactly what 6 stars waiting to see. And with Adam Cole back, right? It does feel like he will be a babyface, which is also intriguing because AEW is in an interesting spot, right? And this is only his first week back. It's a matter of, okay, maybe we'll give him the pop now, and then he'll be a heel, right? Down the line. Or they do go with him as a babyface because people want to cheer him anyways. You literally everyone just heard 6 star give the rant of a lifetime regarding that. And I think a lot of people are having a lot of good points here. So Johnson says, I was down on him, but Adam Cole without Red Dragon and as a babyface plus a layoff is super refreshing. I think Adam Cole and without Red Dragon, so AK Adam Cole away from the undisputed era, elite, whatever you want to call it. That's a win. That for me is a win. And that's why he felt so fresh. Don't get me wrong. I love Kyle O'Reilly. Can't stand Bobby Fish. Never have. Love Roderick Strong. But Adam Cole needs to be fresh. And that wasn't fresh. That was him literally leaving NXT and being the same exact guy. Now he can be Adam Cole, the Adam Cole that so many people have loved. Sugar Spice Delight. Cole felt like a superstar when he grabbed the mic. He didn't miss a beat. I totally agree.
Absolutely not.
The Bearded Baron tonight felt like a huge reset for Cole. His initial run was a bit shaky at times, but it looks like he has strong face going forward. I agree. Far 5222. I'm ready for babyface Adam Cole to get the belt off MJF. All right. I mean,
okay, yeah, we're kind of cooking with these takes. I can't lie.
I appreciate that one. James Carlin. Adam Cole's issue was that he was overexposed in his first AEW run, in my opinion. So my enjoyment of him was like, oh, he's here again. So I hope they tone it down a bit now because he's great. I agree.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
This is a good point. I think this is interesting. I think maybe first night, no Kingdom. But I do think there's a possibility down the line that does happen because, of course, wants to hear him come out to something for you again because that is a great theme song.
I agree.
But as we heard in Six Stars rant, there's something about it's all about that boom that is, and I quote from what Six Star said, the greatest AEW theme song. I didn't say that. That is a 6-star take.
Cry.
Everyone can take that one. I don't want to cry. I'm having
not
a good
you,
time
not
here.
you, not you, not you. To anyone who disagrees, cry. I'm sorry.
Also, this got me. Can't stand fish. I mean, folks, there's the lie.
I mean, folks, where's the lie?
And then shout out to Far for joining. Thank you everyone who has joined so far, especially here late night for those on the East Coast, especially those in the UK. You know, I appreciate everyone that has jumped in so far, and we'll continue on here. So Adam Cole back, great opening match. Could it get better after this? I thought, while it wasn't instantly better, this tag match worked perfectly because the crowd was red hot for it. It was Jungle Hook versus Big Bill and Lee Moriarty. You know, the team that's just put together because, okay, we can admit it. They're two attractive men, right? That's why Jungle Hook's together, and everyone loves them.
It works.
Who doesn't love Jungle Hook? I literally, they went out there and I was like, this is a team that I want all the time. Let's not just 100%. Do this a one-time thing. I know that's like that was the whole sell. One time only we'll get Jungle Hook. No. If you're selling t-shirts, which they are, we need this more than once. Don't overuse it, but I like the idea that these two young guys have each other's backs when needed, but they're solo along the way. I think that's what they should do moving forward. But to Big Bill and Lee Moriarty, I thought they were the perfect team to go against them because I think Big Bill, W. Morrissey, Big Cass, whatever the heck you want to call him, I think he gets a bad rap. I really do. I think he's very solid in the role that he's in. That is what he's good at. And Lee Moriarty is a very good wrestler. We know that. I think he's just been miscasted pretty much since he's gotten to AEW. And I'm not a big fan of the Firm, but I enjoy these two together at least. And I thought this match was a lot of fun. And one of the best moments of the night, we got it, which was the big T-bone suplex from Hook. Everyone losing it. That's why we watch this, people. That's why we watch this.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Like you said, Jungle Hook is great. I think Jungle, like from the beginning, I was like, Jungle Hook has such great chemistry. Like they have such great chemistry together in the ring. And it'd be such a shame to only ever see this one time. I absolutely loved loved every instance in which they interacted, and I thought that match, like you said, was very, very fun. As for what I'm going to call the greatest wrestler lifts up bigger wrestler moment in the history of wrestling, I'm sorry, Andre and Hogan has got nothing, and I mean zero shit on Hook, the Hookster himself, Himothy, right? Hitting a T-bone suplex on Big Bill, because first of all, Hulk Hogan will never or has never been as good as Hook in his life. I'm sorry, Hogan, you're not Hook. You never will be Hook. You can never lace up Hook's boots, and you can never hit a T-bone suplex like that. Big Bill absolutely did his part in getting people to want that spot to be hit, especially, a little bit earlier on was like, oh, you're going to hit me in a suplex? No, you're not. And he gets out of it. I was like, well, we're going to get it now. They teased it. And when they did hit, which I got to say, Hook has the best suplex of any male wrestler on the planet. Like any of them.
T-bone suplex or all suplexes?
I would go as far as saying suplex in general right now.
Wow.
I can't think of any male wrestler who I think hits a better suplex than what I've seen Hook hit. Not just what I've seen it.
I guess that's fair.
Of course, I am specifying male.
I heard you. No, I heard you. I know Natsupoi.
This isn't a stardom. This is not a stardom podcast. But
Natsupoi raises a queen. I know. Trust me, I heard you say male, Meds. I was right there with you.
I had to clarify and make sure the people knew. But that match was so fun.
That's one Natsupoi reference on the All Elite Cast, folks. Just to show everyone to know that. But yeah, it was exactly what it was supposed to be. You had Hook going out there and doing what he does, doing what the fans love him to see, and I'm still very intrigued to see where he goes because I think there's not a let me take that back. There's not a ceiling, I think, of where he can go. It's just a matter of how hard they push him. I think the FTW championship has served him well during this time. It's kept him a little bit busy. But overall, him and Jungle Boy Jack Perry, great little team here,
Yeah.
and I hope to see them more in the future. Heck of a match. Um, oh, well, you brought up
Oh,
Natsupoi, so
okay,
yeah,
I'm not gonna flame you right now, James, but I will take this brief pause to say two quick things regarding the last match. Actually, one of them is regarding your comment on the firm from earlier. You stated that you don't like them very much, which I completely understand. I honestly was pretty annoyed of the firm, basically from formation into full gear for a while, because
Firm
I'm like,
Nation. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
okay,
I'm so
oh,
sorry.
funny guy over here. We got a
Uh,
funny
I,
guy over here.
I'm gonna leave.
No, oh well, like just like that, we've lost all our viewers because Scott E is the draw. But yeah, I like the firm for me was very it's like formation. Like I wasn't really hot on them. I was like, this is what you're gonna do with Stoke. You're gonna take him from Jade Cargill and put him with this with W Morrissey, right? With
Yeah,
Big Cass, and I'm like, I still think that Stoke and Jade Cargill is like the biggest money combination that AEW is like almost ever. Like I think it's the hottest
the
combination they've
biggest
had in
fumble.
terms of 100% the biggest fumble. They could have done so much more with it, and they didn't, and that was disappointing for me. But I like the current position on the card for the firm. They're fine, like mid card to upper mid card heels for someone to get over. And Stoke for me makes it
Sure.
entertaining every week because I think Stokely Hathaway is tremendous. He is a
Mhm.
genius. Like he is a absolutely phenomenal talent, and AW is very lucky to have him. Um, so I can't say I'm ever at this point, moving past full gear. I haven't been like unentertained when they're on screen because I think Stoke is doing a good job, and they're not pushing them to this like main big
Right.
event, like main event status. Like I was kind of scared they were going to do
Mhm.
with the MJF stuff, which is good news for me. And also regarding that last thing you said about Hook, I agree. I would like to see Hook start to do more. And I've been saying this for a while now. I love Hook. I love the Hook squash matches. One of like my favorite things to do is go back and just rewatch all of them because they're super entertaining, because the crowd is super into them, and because Hook has this charisma and this energy about him that is alluring, that makes you want to watch him. And he's also just an insanely attractive man. Like he's got
Yeah.
the whole package of what you want in a professional wrestler is everything. And I really just want to start seeing more of him. I think he's very solid. I think his fundamentals and his technique is really really good, and I just wish we got to see more of it. I want to see more competitive Hook matches because I want to see more of what he can do because I'm certain that he has a lot to be seen that is going to
Yeah.
get over really well with a lot of different parts of the fan base,
Sure.
from the who are people who love in-ring work to the people who love the character. There is, I think, a lot of untapped gold with Hook that I'm excited to start seeing unraveled. Hopefully, starting this year and moving forward.
So we'll steam through some comments here. I think out of all the matches we've talked about, all the moments we've talked about, this actually got the most comments. Tony Khan's really good at putting random people in factions and praying it works out. It never does. Talking about the firm. Um, Sugar Spice Delight, as stupid as the firm is as a concept, everyone is more over than they were when they started. I have to agree with that. No, and I think part of the reason is because none of them were over to begin with. So like that obviously doesn't help them at all. But yeah, I think that's fair. Jonathan, I've actually enjoyed them. They haven't worked above their level. Have taken pins when they need to. I agree. They've been better than I expected after they were thrown together and debuted. All right, that's fair. I just love seeing Hook interact with legitimate roster members and not just goobers and whatnot. I think that's fair. I think we're all happy to see Hook do more, right? We're happy to see Hook do more against real wrestlers because it's letting him showcase what he's all about. Um, I think I think James was calling you top dollar at one point. I'm not sure. I'm not. We're just gonna move on. What's the Stoke and Sanjay face off? I need that. Yeah,
I think you could probably pop a hell of a YouTube viewership from a
yeah,
thumbnail with that. So
yeah.
I see no reason for TK not to.
A lot of people talk about how hot Hook is, but I think not enough people talk about how hot Hook is.
I agree.
All
I
right.
agree.
Jungle Hook got the shirt.
Listen,
Shirts and
Jungle Hook was
panties
for the
off.
girls, the
Might be
gays,
the
the dems,
highest
and the
demo
days.
pop for AEW. I didn't read it beforehand, so when I got to that, thank you for the pop. I appreciate being popped live on air. The firm have been growing on me in an ironic way. I think that's starting to happen to a few people. I still think DG Daniel Garcia should have been in Black. I couldn't agree more. He absolutely should be in Blackpool Combat Club, but yet, indeed, here we are. But let's move forward here. I think we've talked enough about the firm for my liking. So next up, we had this weird backstage segment with Danhausen, Orange Cassidy, and Paul Walter Hauser. It was bad.
Hausen.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry, Hausen. I did not enjoy any of it. Didn't like it one bit. It didn't set up anything. It just was like, yeah, he's going to open and show you your Golden Globe on Rampage. And I was like, I don't care. But this wasn't needed for a segment. You could have gave a match a minute extra.
It really wasn't.
It was bad. We're not talking about this. I just want.
Whoa, no. Oh, yeah. Well, there was also the best friends thing at the end of this segment, right?
Oh, that's true. That was important because it doesn't seem they're very happy. Though it was so awkward that they all broke character, it looked like.
Yeah. One quick thing. I'm saying this now, and then we can move on because I really don't want to talk about this segment either. On Rampage, when they open the box, it's going to be empty. It's going to lead to someone stole it, and then that person who stole it's going to like unveil themselves, and then they're going to get an All-Atlantic title match. That's my prediction right now. Put the nail on that. Put the pin in that.
If it's Kip Sabian again, I'm done watching.
Let's
Anyways,
see him live.
Congratulations. I'm sorry. Anyways, moving on. So Konosuke Takeshita made his way out, the superstar that he is, and then we had to listen to MJF talk. And talk. And talk. And talk and talk. Let's see all the things that he said that were somewhat embarrassing to watch live. So he mocked Takeshita, he made fun of him, he called him a take a shit. Let's see. He was awful. He mocked Takeshita for speaking in Japanese. Which led to Takeshita ultimately saying you kiss his ass. He looked like he was going to rock MJF, and then MJF said you'll get fined. So Konosuke is taken out of the ring. I didn't like this. All right, I didn't like any of it. But we're going to finish the promo segment, then we can talk about it because there's a very long promo segment. Then he does his usual thing of getting the cheap heat and, talk about Danielson, how he can't last 60 minutes. And he said, mom and girlfriend jokes, ha ha ha, very funny, whatever. Picks out at the celebrities at ringside. You had Ken Jeong from The Hangover, from Community, from I think he's on Masked Singer. I am giving him some respect, not just Dr. Ken that was canceled. Okay, that one did kind of make me laugh, I'm not gonna lie. And then he talked to Freddie Prinze Jr. The one that got me to laugh was the Scooby-Doo one. I was like, all right, well, I mean, that was great because I agree. That's what I remember Freddie Prinze Jr. from as well. And then Danielson, came down and chased him out before he could say he's better than us, and he knows it. So that's the whole wrap up to what his promo was. And I thought for another week in a row, it was kind of more the same of mostly misses in a big MJF promo. It felt like he was more so rambling on, being very disrespectful in some ways. And just, I understand to get heat. I understand that's what a heel does, but it's just not working for me right now.
No.
I can see your displeasure. I've seen your displeasure the entire time I went through that, so I'm going to let you take the floor here.
Yeah, I think that this, like you said, is just another edition of this. I'll read this out on air. James Carlin just said, "This fucking sucked." sucked, and I couldn't have said it better myself. This promo was not good for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But before I really get into those, like you said, this is just another installation and a weekly thing of MJF having bad promos since he became champion. And that sucks. Like,
yeah.
I believe in MJF. I think MJF's a great talent, and he's proven himself time and again. And I was excited when he won the belt. I really liked the stuff going into Full Gear.
Oh, I thought it was the best stuff of his career.
Yeah,
with Regal.
but absolutely, 100%. But everything he's done since becoming champion has been boring. I wanted MJF to be this really great heel, like top of the mountain presence that no one's gonna be able to conquer. And I always knew he was gonna do his cheating and cheap things. I was never gonna particularly complain about that, as predictable as it is. But because I always expected that he would have these great stories. I would expect that he'd have these great promos every week. But they've kind of just been the same thing he's been doing for years, every single week, and it's boring, and I don't like it. And I'm quite frankly, I never thought I'd see a position for myself where an MJF segment is a segment that I'm looking forward to least in an episode, because I used to see those as I'm gonna have a great time and enjoy myself and watch a great talent do great talent things. But lately, just like he's playing the hits, and it's not working for me. And that's just the dissection of MJF's promos style.
Right. And before you go into this one, I will agree to all that. I think was it? Jonathan has a great point. I'm just disappointed we didn't get an MJF babyface run, which they swerved to turn him back. I couldn't agree more. I think that's where
100%.
It's all gone downhill, right?
100%.
The people wanted to cheer him. Everyone wanted to cheer him. He was over. I wanted to see him as world champion. And he's done everything to try to keep himself heel. But it hasn't been good. None of it's been good. Almost none of it's been good. The only stuff that was good was when Ricky Starks roasted him in the middle of the ring, right? And we have a lot of comments to go through for this stuff, and we will. But I will let you now talk about this promo. I mean, thank you for letting me jump in.
No, of course. I mean, anytime. I think I agree with your
Now lay into him.
Yeah, this promo just fucking sucked. This was not just low bearing fruit bad. This was genuinely bad promo material.
Sure.
And you know what? Yes, it's a character. It's a gimmick. His praise of Cornette, of Disco, etc., is all to play into his heel antics. I, quite frankly, do not give a fuck. Because to take something that is so such a disgusting comment, the take a shit comment that has been, I believe, started with Cornette and has flooded that particular side of the wrestling fan base, and to put it on air, to give it airtime, to give it any form of credence, even if it's supposed to be a heel bit, is a stupid decision. And I know MJF as a talent is above having to make racist remarks to get heat. And the fact that he is, to me, is disappointing and alarming. And like you said, is a sign that maybe that 100% that turning him heel and not letting him stay babyface was a mistake to make. Because if this is the way he's going to continue to get heat, if his way of getting heat is to be this mean, evil heel that says racist, sexist, misogynistic things, agrees with these terrible people, I don't want that. That's not just a heel I want to see beaten. It's just a heel I don't want to see on TV, period. And it's the point of the heel. I don't care. I do not care. I do not watch AEW to be insulted like that. I think it was completely insensitive of MJF to make. I think it was insensitive for the people in the back to have cleared that, assuming it was cleared. You have to assume it had to be cleared for something like that to be said on air. And, give him the benefit of the doubt that Takeshita agreed to this, and Takeshita got his huge pops, which I'm very excited to talk about momentarily. Even with that benefit of the doubt, it was unnecessary to make those comments.
Right.
And I am genuinely disappointed that was allowed to air. And for me, dampened my mood while watching Dynamite in that moment, in that instance.
Yeah, I think it was just bad taste. It was just bad. It was none of it is what we want to watch MJF. I understand MJF goes for the low-hanging fruit. And that, for the longest time, was my biggest problem with MJF, is that everything he did was cheap and lame and boring. And he changed that. I always date back to the Darby Allin match that they had. I think it was Full Gear 2021. That's when it all shifted for me. I was like, okay, now he's finding his groove. He started finding his groove on promos, less low hanging fruit, had that great feud with CM Punk. That's where he really had his best work. He didn't do the low hanging fruit. He was just a heel and he played it up perfectly. And his race to the title, I think we all agree. But there is that large gap in there where he wasn't on TV at all. And that led to people wanting to cheer him. And now we're here. Now we're sitting here. Now we're watching. And his promos are boring. They're lazy. And they're just not all that good. I already said this week, when the rumors of Jay White being free and possibly coming to WWE AEW, Jay White to me is a better version of MJF because he doesn't do the low hanging fruit. That's not his promos. He's great in that aspect. And we're getting to a point here now where it's like, I don't know how much I want this title reign to go on. Now, don't get me wrong. I am interested in MJF, the world champion. I'm not interested in the promos and work that he's doing on the mic, which to me is the entire selling point of Maxwell Jacob Friedman. So if we're not doing that, then what are we doing? Now, I think they have time to turn this around, of course, before the pay-per-view. You are obviously wrestling one of the greatest of all time in Bryan Danielson. It's not a lost hope, but for right now, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what you signed up for. And I think a lot of people agree. This is not what we wanted to see in MJF. But we got a lot of comments here about MJF, and I think Jonathan raised a great point. Do you think he was playing in the stuff said by Disco Inferno on Twitter the other day? Not saying excuses any of it anyway. Absolutely.
That's 100%. 100%.
That's what he does. He brings Twitter to TV. He, what he'll do is he'll mock, wrestling fans and how they love Takeshita and how they love guys like El Hijo del Vikingo, and he'll do all that, and then he will use Twitter comments and Twitter and podcast stuff from the Cornettes and Disco Inferno because he knows it'll anger people. But it's just not. It's not good. Like those people, Disco Inferno and Cornette, they're irrelevant to me. I don't want to hear about them. That's why I don't hear about them. Right. The only reason we ever hear about them is when people bring it up. When people try to force it, like all the top media people, they avoid them nowadays, and I just don't like it. Let's continue.
100%.
Shocked he didn't bring up his failed wrestling promotion that ever got off the ground. That's about Freddie Prinze Jr., I believe. That's funny. I also thought that. I thought he was going to. I thought he was going to bring up how. Remember, there were rumors that he wanted Bray Wyatt. I thought there was going to be some joke about that and be like, dodge the bullet there.
Oh Lord,
well, this is a good one. Everyone calling MJF a better Miz, but really it's the other way around. That's
crazy.
That is ice cold. That's
crazy.
Ice cold.
Insane.
I can't stand the Miz, especially nowadays. But
folks, where's the lie?
We continue. Like Saber Jr. MJF is so hit or miss. He'll give you those promos during the Punk feud or with Regal before the pay-per-view match, and then he'll give you that weak shit. Exactly. Perfectly said. I wish I read that before I said what I said because you nailed it. Jonathan, I'm legit disappointed when you get it. Oh, I already did that. My bad. I did it. I need MJF to bring up his childhood trauma and tie it into Bryan so I could be interested in him again.
No, okay, listen. I have been thinking about this for weeks now. Every time like the story with MJF choosing to follow his dreams of being a professional wrestler has to do with the match from, if I remember correctly, Fastlane 2012-2013, CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan. Why has that not been brought up yet? Why has that not been mentioned? Yes, there's a month or two to Revolution. It's who cares? It's already been brought up. It's already in the established lore of
CM
MJF,
Punk.
both in and out of AEW. Well, not just CM Punk, but the fact that Daniel Bryan, looking at a post from I forget which Instagram page that had a throwback picture of CM Punk and Daniel Bryan shaking hands in the middle of the ring at Fastlane, leading up to WrestleMania. I think it was 27 from a pay-per-view all those years ago. It's already established that that Danielson is one of the reasons that MJF chose, like at least seeing that post with Danielson, seeing that post with Danielson in it inspired MJF to, you know, space bite CM Punk and B, become a professional wrestler. Why hasn't that been brought up? Why hasn't that been mentioned? It's already established. We don't need to wait weeks to do it. Do it now and build an intriguing story. That's another thing with MJF. I'm not going to do a year of these MJF feuds if it's going to be the same thing that we saw with Wardlow and with Punk. It's done. It's dead. You finished it. Those two were really good ways to go out with that MJF feud style. I don't want to see more repetitions of what was, you know, the feud with Chris Jericho. I don't want to see these trials and tribulations and magic. Give me something new and original, Maxwell, that we know that you are capable of, because you have a great mind when it comes to wrestling. So show us that. Stop being lazy and doing these things that have worked for you in the past. You're supposed to be moving on to the next level, man. Come on.
Anyways,
sorry about that.
The shine is wearing off on MJF. The low-hanging fruit promos need to go away. It's been 4 years. We are back doing the trials of MJF, and tonight was his Harley Simmons and HHH Booker T promo.
Ooh.
I was thinking about that one actually while it was going on. I think people still do want to cheer him, so he just keeps going back to the low-hanging fruit because it's so easy. I definitely agree with you there, Johnny. Every single MJF feud has been the match series thing. I do not care at all. The only reason I give somewhat of a care this time is because Bryan Danielson is the greatest professional wrestler ever. Also, they're giving him like just dream matches. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. Like, yeah. Well, I won't complain about that. Far 522. He brought up how he was bullied for his Jewish heritage and yet does it back on someone on air. I understand heat, but like, this was fucking awful and killed the heat from Soup Brian for like 10 minutes. I think Takeshita actually made a joke about it once a few years ago on a live stream with Chris Hooks back when. I think you're right. I don't know. Did he?
Back when Schadenfreude was still a thing. Might be remembering though.
When I got there, I blanked. I was like, because I started thinking about it, because I remember something about that. Thank you for finishing that. With the way AEW crowds are, you don't even need all that stuff to get a heelish reaction. Just look at the way people reacted to Mox in his match. They warned us of it. He warned us of his Reign of Terror like run and doubled down on it. I hope this run doesn't go into Winter is Coming 2023.
I've got some bad news.
And Jay White actually wrestles. You damn right he does. Oh, double. Look at this. Everyone's agreeing. MJF in this Twitter-like comment title run ain't it. That's true. That's a good point. Do you think they are specifically avoiding that? I don't know what this is.
What this is in reference to.
That's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. The Wrestling Classic was the page MJF was talking about. Thank you.
Shout out at the Wrestling Classic on Instagram.
MJF was actually a big fan of Nigel McGuinness and hates Danielson because he beat him for the pure title. There you go. Work that in. I really wish MJF wouldn't spend weeks waffling before actually getting into the reason he hates the wrestler he's feuding with. It's why the rookie stuff was so good. That's true. They had to rush it. They had to get right to it, and it kicked into gear. And then I legit think this killed the show more than No Mercedes. So
I agree.
So I was so excited for the next match that like I was just like, all right, let's go. Let's hurry up. That's how I felt this entire MJF thing. Then I, took the realization as we were coming on here of what he actually said, and I was like, man, that was as bad as I thought it was. Okay. And if this is a reason that someone says this isn't one of the best Dynamites of all time, I get it. But I think the other things were so high. Like the high points are so high that I was able to almost ignore not ignore what he said. I didn't ignore what he said, but move forward. So let's move forward, right? Let's get to it. Bryan Danielson versus Konosuke Takeshita. Absolutely tremendous match. Some people may have been out of it maybe after the MJF stuff. I was not. The moment that bell rang, these two were going. And not only were they going, they were hitting harder and harder as the match went on. These two are world-class wrestlers. I said on Twitter last night, if Konosuke Takeshita gets enough matches on AEW television, it's going to be hard for anyone to compete with him. for Wrestler of the Year because that is how good he
Absolutely.
is. Obviously, it'll take us a while to see his Bola run, but from what I've read, that was also tremendous this past weekend. And he had some great matches in DDT before coming back over. This guy is on fire, and this was one of his best matches in AEW. I think, thinking to all of it, he has the Claudio one, Battle of the Belts. He has the Hangman Page one, kind of out of nowhere. I think that's the one that really woke people up to how good he was AEW wise. He's
Mm-hmm.
he had 2 with Moxley or
Yep,
1?
it was 2 with Mox.
2 with Mox. I remember the second one very well. That was, of course, the most recent, and it was tremendous. So the point is here, Konosuke Takeshita, no matter if he's losing, no matter what, this guy is over. And I think
Mm-hmm.
the MJF crap will benefit Takeshita because people are only going to get behind him more and more. People were cheering for Konosuke Takeshita over Bryan Danielson in this
Over
match.
Dragon.
Yeah, over the Dragon.
I'm gonna talk a little bit about this because I did just go to a live show, so I'm really happy about that. But to anyone who hasn't gotten to see Dragon live, first of all, you have my sincerest condolences, and I hope you get to see him soon because that man, and this is no shock to anyone, that man knows how to connect with the crowd. Like that whether he's working a face or a heel, that man connects. And when he was here in Portland, that you could not hear anything over the yes chance, over the Danielson chance because of how much people loved him. So to see an even larger space in a much I didn't get to hear it on TV, but what I thought was one of the hottest crowds AEW has had, both in Portland, and hearing the way that the LA crowd, another really hot, the other way that the LA crowd, another very super
and
hot crowd.
Hart was there too.
Shout out Hart. But yeah, they cheered for Takeshita, and that's all because of the again, he has this charisma about him. It's like the same thing as a Rook. He has this charisma about him. You just want to get behind him. You want to support him. You want to see him wrestle. And that's just the brass tacks. You want to see him wrestle. It doesn't matter if he doesn't speak English. And the thing is he does and can speak English. But regardless if he didn't speak at all, it's the same thing with Bandito, which we're going to get to see next week. You just want to see them in the ring because they have such great in-ring presence, such great in-ring ability. And oh my God, this match was amazing.
So I'm gonna need to rewatch all 3 of these matches because watching them, one with the picture in picture, you can miss some stuff, and I want to see them outside of picture in picture, and I'll make sure I could do that one way or the other. But also, this match was so perfect for Takeshita, and I think Danielson knew that. That's why I love Bryan Danielson. He knows how to enhance a match in every way, shape, or form. And I think it's why I was so angry with him last year, because his pay-per-view matches weren't as good as these TV matches that he has. They just weren't. And that's not his fault. I think that's just how the matches were made. But this match with Takeshita, are you kidding me? I don't know. I have no idea right now what I think is the best match on the night because I loved all 3 of them because they're all very different. But this match in the closing stretch, with Takeshita dropping Danielson on his head with that, I call it the reverse. What's the thing that Hangman did to Moxley?
The Dead Eye.
Yeah, it's like the reverse Dead Eye. Oh, the Dude Buster. The Dude Buster. That's what Trent calls it. He hit him with that does the suplex. Picture perfect German. I'm just like jumping out of my seat. I literally jumped out of my seat. I was like, let's go. I knew he was going to lose, obviously. But it's like, that's what Takeshi does. And that's what Danielson does. You create that drama. You create that excitement. So that when that Takeshita moment happens, my God, is the building going to be unglued for that? It's going to be special. It's going to be special. That is the beauty, right, of these moments in AEW. You schedule these matches, a guy like Takeshita is going to get over. I have already pitched on another podcast before that Takeshita should be that next guy that you have the long-term plan for to become world champion. Not just a champion, world champion. Because he is that guy. He's 27 years old. He's done it all in DDT. He's doing it now here. Me and Johnny talked about it earlier. All Atlantic run, that should be first up. Give them just this all-timer All Atlantic run. Have him absolutely destroy Cassidy. Sorry, that's just what I prefer. And keep going forward. This match was terrific. Just mwah. Danielson's 2 for 2, by the way, to start off this year. That tag match from this past Rampage was great as well.
Great.
And we'll figure out in time, obviously, how we're going to talk Rampage and talk Dynamite, talk pay-per-views. But I just want to bring that up. That match, this match, fantastic stuff for him and Moxley, of course. Let's see what we got going here. Johnny, I feel like his promos are better. This is about MJF when he's working with other good promos. Some of his worst promos have been against guys who don't have the best back and forth. That's true. That's
100%.
true. Last week was bad. Someone's worth one against Brian, Darby, that weird Brian Pillman one. That's true. He's awesome against Cody, Punk, etc.
Real quick, let's respect Brian's promo ability, okay? Let's.
It was bad.
It was
bad last week, but I get what you're saying.
No. It wasn't. I'm not saying that it was good last week, but let's not go calling Brian a bad promo now. Like, what are we doing? Let's easy on Dragon. He's a great promo. Just wasn't. But from both men, wasn't the best work last week.
MJF has to do an entire Tam Lord thread before his feuds probably start. It's pretty. If you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who Tam Nakano is,
first of all, you should
get it, but you should. Oku is fantastic, so I can imagine his match with Takeshita at Bullet was going to be so good, as I've heard. Yes,
Oku is great.
I thought Soup was gonna do the magical girl 450 splash at one point. I did too. When he got up there, I was like, I forget. Does he do a swamp? What is he about to do? I also thought the same. Imagine if he did. I want Takeshi to win so badly and get the big win and pivot the MJ and Bryan story elsewhere to get the title match. Takeshi needs that big win on TV soon. I agree. I think we're gonna get to the limit soon. I think soon. Now it'll be a matter of how or when they do it, but there will be a limit eventually.
Yeah, I actually was like pretty on board. I didn't tweet or anything about it, but I was pretty on board with the idea of like, because like I said earlier, I'm very bored of this tribulations of MJF style of storytelling.
So change it up.
So I was really hoping Takeshita was going to, like, I was thinking, like, let Takeshita win. That A, gives Takeshita his first big win, and B, gives that story a new direction that we haven't explored yet. But that's not what we got. Not that I'm going to complain more about what I've already gotten my shit off on MJF. What I will say is, god damn, did they have me like biting at the shirt for every single fall. Like, I was like, dang, these two just get professional wrestling. And when MJF does get that, not MJF, lol, no. When Takeshita gets that big win, I like stood up on this bed right behind me when Adam Cole came out. Like, I was screaming and standing up. I'm gonna do the same thing back in my college dorm room when Takeshita gets his big win, and I'm gonna hit the ceiling because I'm very excited for that moment.
It's gonna be special. Takeshita got to touch the Atlantic title soon. Every time Danielson does the Regal stretch, the crowd goes, "Hey, bro, didn't that man betray you and your crew?" I think. Man, yes, he did. The one time I saw Danielson live was magical. I mean, it was a WWE event, but still just a one-of-a-kind wrestler that he is.
100%.
That he is. Jonathan agreed, give him that belt ASAP, and then that Danielson Jericho series wasn't the best. That was bad. It was all of the good matches of the feud weren't on pay-per-view, so the one pay-per-view match I thought was the worst one. The second one was good. The third one was fine. Shout out to Hart. That's what I said earlier. I need Takeshita versus Orange Cassidy versus Bandito for the All Atlantic more than I need air.
I mean, you're not going to hear no from me.
As I tweeted on Once Upon a Time, I said the man or the person that books Takeshita versus Bandito will get $25 from me. That is still the truth. We can take Orange Cassidy right out and just run those two, and we're going to have ourselves a time, folks.
Respect Orange Cassidy.
You're spot on. Thank you, Sugar Spice Delight. You're spot on with the Bryan Danielson matches on TV being better than his pay-per-view matches. My favorite AEW Bryan Danielson match was Hangman versus Bryan 2, and it's the best TV match I've ever seen. High praise for that one. That's the thing with AEW is I think a lot of people are going to ultimately say the overall best, right, match that they'll ever see on television will be AEW. It will be AEW.
100%.
There is a good 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 handful that I can think of off the top of my head that I would understand anyone picking. And if you even walked away from tonight thinking that, I wouldn't even say you're crazy. Now, I wouldn't go that far. I think we have seen better, but Hangman versus Bryan 2 is definitely up there. Good shout.
Tremendous shout. Yeah. Earlier you'd stated that like the Hangman Mox match was like your second, would be the first if Kenny Danielson had happened on television. Yeah, opening match.
Yeah.
And it goes back like I think even thing with like the Hangman Danielson matches, Hangman Kenny, not Hangman, Kenny Danielson, and then Hangman Mox. Hangman and Danielson are really good at this opening match thing, aren't they? Oh Lord.
And no, Stardom does not count, James. If you could cast it to your TV, that does not count.
Sadly, does not count.
So that match was phenomenal, and we're getting Bryan Danielson versus Bandito next week because they literally just said, all right, if we're gonna do this, let's just have Bryan Danielson give us all the matches. And I said, thank you. Let's continue that. Next up here, we had Renee backstage with my boy Juice Robinson. Rock
hard, baby. Rock hard, baby.
Juice. He said he's here to kick ass and take names, and he challenged Darby to a TNT title match, which I'm sure will be very, very good. That will be on Rampage. And now it's time for the match where everyone felt some dread coming into it. And I will say, and I said this on Twitter, I said this last week, I had sources that told me that Mercedes was not going to be teaming. This was before, obviously, Tony Storm was announced. And Mercedes Moné was not going to be teaming with Saraya, which makes a lot of sense if you just take a second to think about it. Why would her first match out of WWE be anything probably but that IWGP title match, just for reasons of that's huge, right? But that being said, I did think there was still a chance she'd show up after the match. I really did. And it didn't happen. She did not show up at all. And I think that probably affected a lot of people watching this match. I, of course, wasn't live, so I couldn't see the live reactions. But from what I've been told, people were not happy. Now, as someone that did watch the match, not sitting there thinking that Mercedes Moné was going to show up at any moment, I thought it was pretty good. I thought Saraya looked a lot better than she did her first time around, which obviously makes sense. But she hasn't wrestled in months already. It's been 2 months now. I think Jamie Hayter and Tony were great. I didn't think Britt was bad. I thought it was a good tag team match, and I enjoyed it. I think just the problem is that again, you had this big thing hanging over you. So how could you make anyone else care, right? It's like this was what happened almost to Tam and Kyrie, but what Tam and Kyrie did was they went out there and they, one, didn't get a lot of time. Two, they kind of made people forget about it for a second because of what they did in that match. And I thought these four tried their best, but the way they set this whole match up, they set themselves up to really hurt this match. You don't do a surprise thing and then make it Tony and then make this whole big thing about it just for it to be a normal tag team match. You don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, obviously, like, AEW never promoted the Mercedes. They come on, like, let's be honest here. They've been advertising. There was no reason to advertise the match a month out. There wasn't going to be a big kind of news piece related to it. And if you knew you weren't going to be able to get that, then you should have revealed Tony as the partner earlier than last week. And also last week there was the clip with Britt Baker saying, "I'm the boss of this." It's dumb. It's stupid. And that was a pre-tape. You had the choice to air that or edit that out, and you didn't. It's dumb. it was really bad fan expectation management from the part of AEW, and it was unfortunate to those women because if you heard, I heard here on the show, you could hear them getting booed out because Mercedes didn't come, and that's not fair to them because, like you said, I thought they put on a pretty good match, all things considered. Saraya, still don't know how to pronounce that, did a flip to the outside of the ring. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That popped me. I can't lie.
They played the heels, which was interesting.
Yeah, I think that's great. I quite like that they did, and I also thought.
Also,
I'm
you expect me to
one.
boo Sheeta in favor of Tony Storm and Saraya? Are you kidding me? That's not happening.
Tomfoolery. Are you kidding? I'm not booing Sheeta over anybody. Are you kidding me? If
What if it was
Sheeta,
Poi?
well, that's not going to happen. Well, that's just not going to happen. So we don't have to listen. That's just never going to happen. Let's not think about that. Why are we throwing curveballs for situations that will never arise? But yeah, it's like I was saying with that is like I like Britt Baker in tag matches. I think she usually performs pretty well, even if she is like a 0.5 speed wrestler most of the time. I think her performances in tag matches are pretty good usually, and I liked every minute that Jamie and Tony got to do things because they are tremendous wrestlers, and their full gear match was also just like absolutely great. And I can't wait for that rematch. But yeah, Sheeta's is turning heel. Great news for me because that means I get more Sheeta on my television. I will not complain. I love Sheeta.
I like building to Tony and Sheeta. I think it's good. I think it's a good plan.
I think that's great.
It's a good non-title feud, which is nice.
For Revolution, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's a great way
hey now. You think he's going to put that many title matches on Revolution? Yeah, you're crazy.
My fault. 3 women's matches on Revolution is crazy. Three women's matches on Revolution is crazy. Like I my fault. I shouldn't be so eager for something that's just not going to happen. Yeah, but we can cook TK on that later.
Yes. So at least we are getting Hikaru Shida versus Tony Storm out of this. I agree. Feels like a Punk-esque situation where they drop clues without them being signed. But TK the woman this time. Yeah, it did kind of feel that way. That's what Wrestle Kingdom really did. Right? That's what New Japan really did. They said, "Oh yeah, well she might be there, but I don't know." They did everything in their best to make sure everyone was watching. And AEW did that, but they didn't have her show up, so that's tough. Those slaps from Jamie on Tony Storm gets the ropes. Holy shit! TK should have been squat everything publicly after January 4th. He went full Carney mode and used her momentum willingly to pop a rating and will be the biggest fumble from TK going forward. I do think
I agree.
There was risk, right? I think there was real risk that he handled it the way that he did. And Jonathan has a great point. He just made things work with the Grapsody appearance. Yeah, he did. When he said it and worded it the way he did, that made everyone assume it was now going to be Mercedes Moné, and it clearly was never meant to be, which is fine. Britt Baker versus Nazi Boy for the high speed title would be heat. We're gonna
James.
We're just gonna.
I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything.
TK was asked on Grapsody about Mercedes and gleefully danced around the Mercedes question, saying, "We'll find out sometime in January." Carney stuff, great stuff for the woman, but I feel bad for them. I do too. It took away from what they were trying to do in there. I mean, obviously, I'm not the biggest Saraya fan or anything, but it stunk because it did take away from them. But let's move on here. Let's talk Jericho Appreciation Society. Wasting my goddamn time.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Jericho. I have no problem with them, but this was not the time. I did not care. I was done. And this is like having them follow when everyone's pissed off about Mercedes Moné not showing up is a bold move. It's a bold move. I also am not, and this might be a hot take, I don't really care about Action Andretti. I feel like I haven't reason to care. I don't. The fireball didn't make me instantly care about him. It made me be like, all right, cool. I'm already losing. I'm already starting to fall off this feud. the Ricky Starks and Action Andretti thing. It's like, all right, cool. I like Ricky Starks, but I don't know. It's not working for me. And I thought this was kind of a flat segment.
Yeah. Um, I feel really bad because I did have a few friends who were part of the crew. For those of you who don't know, the Sasha fan base that were watching AW at the chance that she might come, and they were disappointed, to say the least, that they were greeted instead to Judas and Chris Jericho instead of Mercedes Moné. But in terms of the segment itself, it was not needed. It was not necessary. But and I love Jericho. Jericho was great. He's a legend. I think he had 2022 was one of the best in ring years of his career, and I think is really was probably the best year of his in AEW since he was the champion. But I didn't need anything of what happened tonight. But they're not going to stop the crowd from singing Judas. God forbid that ever be the case. Not that they could do that on Rampage, but whatever. It just wasn't. It wasn't good. It wasn't entertaining. And I like Action Andretti, just because I think he's a good wrestler, and he's also very pretty. And I can't lie, it's always like plus 2 points for me. If you're pretty and you're good at wrestling, you're good in my books. But and I really enjoyed his match with Jericho and him getting the win. I didn't need this tonight. This is probably building to some tag match with Andretti and Starks and probably Garcia and Guevara down the line, and it'll be fun. But I didn't need this, especially with the amount of time that the MJF promo took. I didn't need that to be another 10-minute long segment of them in the ring for us to get a few pops from Andretti and Ricky Starks hitting some big lines on the heels. It's played out. It's a little boring. It's a little stale. And I didn't really need it. I would have preferred 10 more minutes of the main event.
Yeah, I think that was the part. I think the main event, while still fantastic, obviously they could have had more time. I think that would have been preferable. All right, let's go through the comments here. I wonder if plans fell through for Mercedes. Everyone seemed very confident in her appearance. Maybe there just were never plans. I think that's a real possibility. I think, TK just used it as a way to create hype, and it worked. Obviously, people watched. I'm sure no one tuned out. I'm sure with the Game 7 on the way, no one just tuned out all of a sudden. But yeah, I don't know if it fell through or not. Yeah, it puts a lot of expectation on women that they maybe can't live up to, which sucks. Agreed. Hart, I also thought this segment was as bad as the MJF one. I'm terribly over. Tay Conchi is a slut bits. I agree. I think they're very overdue, very boring. We can only have so many Ricky Action getting attacked. The other makes a save, a couple back and forth insult segments. I agree.
Well, strap yourself in because we're gonna get how many weeks are there to Revolution? That many weeks worth of them.
Ricky and Jericho started hot, but it's now. That's kind of how Jericho feuds work. Sometimes, most of the time. Guys, you get it. Yes, I get it. Just have the Garcia Jericho versus Action Ricky tag already. I agree. That's how those jokes land. They're just not good. I agree. I mean, it's just all boring. It's all very, 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 very low hanging fruit, and that's what they do. And it's not even funny. Like, it's not even real. It's just bad. It's just bad. Every non-wrestling segment type besides Adam Cole and that great return was trash. I felt like they're trying to pop the WWE executives in attendance rather than those watching at home. I think that's a good point. I think it's a very good point.
It's a great point.
I think forgetting the Warner Brothers was probably there, like they were last time. 2 promos on the show should have either been cut or the way shorter. Assuming not Adam Cole, of course. And a lot of the jokes just need to stop too. I agree. All this feud has left for me before the Revolution match is Garcia versus Ricky. I agree. I would prefer to see
a good match.
Well. Yeah. Let's get to it. Let's wrap up here with the main event of the evening as the Elite.
The Elite. Super kick party.
Oh, he's just gonna keep going.
Kick.
All right.
Elite.
No, pop off, Queen. Anyways, I will continue. So the Elite officially defeated Death Triangle in match 7 to win the AEW Trios titles, coming back from down 3-1 in the series to pull off the win. Just absolute bananas, insane, crazy, unbelievable match, right? Just everything I think you wanted out of them, and you wish it could have went longer. That's a credit to these 6 for doing that after a series of matches that was a 7-match series, right? A 7-match series is something that you don't do a lot in wrestling, and let alone you do it to the point that they did, and now have it end in a ladder match, a great Escalera de la Muerte, so more of a TLC match, but just tremendous stuff. You're going through tables here and there. Kenny does his Terminator dive through a table. You have, Matt Jackson taking out, I don't even remember who it was. It was one of the 3 through a table. You just had everything you could have asked for. The crazy pile driver on to the ladder, a one-winged angel off of the ladder to Ray Phoenix. Unbelievable match in the amount of time that they got. Just packed a punch. Perfect way to end one of, if not the best Dynamites of all time, because of three matches, nothing else. Like, you just needed these 3 matches. I would have honestly had the whole show be these 3 matches, and maybe the women's match, because I thought the women's match was good. Jungle Hook was good. You could have just had tonight be wrestling, and it would have been such a great show.
Carry on my wayward son.
You can't sing that. We're on YouTube. We're on YouTube. There you go. I was like, you can't.
There we go. Perfect.
You can't say
fault.
those things.
It's a cover. I should be legally allowed, but I don't care about that right now. The Elite. Who have you seen come back from 3-1 deficit? Who? I'm sure there are teams. I don't watch basketball. You can answer that for me in the chat.
LeBron did.
LeBron did. They said that on a BTE. I'm sorry. I only watch soccer and volleyball. My apologies. But anyway, the Elite did it. The Elite fucking did it in the fucking Forum. The house that the Lakers built, baby. You know what you know about Six Star was supposed to be Kobe Bryant Jr. That's a fact, by the way. That's a fact. My dad wanted to name me Kobe Bryant Jr. And do I know anything about basketball? No. But I know that my boys, the Elite, the Elite, live up to the expectations of the Forum tonight. They gotta win in the home state of the Bucks. They gotta win in the West Coast, best coast, where Six Star resides. Most importantly, they showed the world what wrestling could be, not only 3 years ago, but today. Today, I tell you, they showed us what wrestling could and should be, and they continue to do that, and they will pave the path forward. Kenny, with 2 illustrious, beautiful belts on his shoulders, alongside the Bucks, as they carry the company on their backs, because they are strong, because they are ready, because they are talented, because they are the new AEW World Trios champs. No one else could do that.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we know how Six Star feels about the big victory. Let's get to the comments here as we wrap up the show. There's so much. All right. They were balling, you might say. Yeah, that's fitting. That's fitting.
Absolutely.
Carry on. See, Jonathan was singing with you. Very special. Is a great theme, but after seeing someone put that entrance to Backstreets, I feel ripped off out of something that was never going to happen. That's fair. I wanted Ray Phoenix to hold on to the belts hanging in the air as Kenny Omega jumps off a ladder featuring Phoenix. In the process, someday it could happen. That sounds so incredibly dangerous, but yes, I agree. They had a 14-minute and 55-second sprint of a ladder match, and it was spectacular. Yeah, which is such an accomplishment to do that, right? Like just to just to do it for that, it felt quick, but that is a good amount of time for a TV wrestling match. I think we all would have loved it. All I know about basketball is that Bill Murray only plays defense. That is a shout out to Space Jam, and I respect that. Kenny Two Belts.
Kenny Two Belts, baby. The fucking GOAT. The cleaner, baby. Two belts. Let's go.
I know everyone is hyped for potential House of Black and CM FTR feuds, but I will become Tony Khan's strongest soldier if he does an Elite versus Blackpool Combat Club match. It would be foolish not to, right? It would be very foolish
absolute cookage.
not to. Also bring Osprey and Aussie Open back. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
Jonathan, very happy with the 6-star monologue. This is how we win the people. We just have 6-star go off, right?
I'm not gonna lie, that's probably gonna be one of my weaker ones because I'm still home and I can't be as loud.
Sandre, I must say this was the best time I have been I've seen in quite some time. Well worth waking up in the middle of the night for. But what was way better was this awesome debut episode of the All Elite.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, friend. Thank you
very much.
Omega is like the Natsumi Sumikawa of men's wrestling. I will not elaborate further. You know what?
You know what, James? I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna let you cook, man. I'm gonna let you. You don't need to elaborate. You're fine.
So, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for what I think was, absolute blast to start this off. The funny thing is, me and Six have only done Joshi podcasts. We've only done, and this is twice, most recently. We're gonna see how this goes. Some weeks I'm sure, with Six going back to school, I'm gonna probably be solo once in a while, and that's okay. That's what we agreed upon. I was originally gonna be doing this show solo to begin with. So it's not that big of a deal to me. But when Six is here and when there are big shows to talk about, we will be here each and every single week, talk about Dynamite, some Rampage, if Rampage is worth talking about, and then, of course, anything else that may come up in AEW world. So, again, thank you so much. Make sure to subscribe to the All Elite Cast. Sugar Spice Delight, what a fantastic debut episode. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you to you all that joined us. For Six, I'm Scott. This was the first edition of the All Elite Cast. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.